Hey guys, welcome back to the God is Within Her podcast. I'm your God's sis, Chelsea. Hello, welcome back. Have you ever wondered, God, is that you? Like, how do I know if it's myself, if it's the devil, or if it's you? Like, I need to know. And that just brings the importance of a relationship with God to the forefront. It's so important so you can know when God is talking to you. I was watching College Hill, the Celebrity Edition, season 2 with Amber Rose and K-Sway. And I think that's his name. But there was a scene where both of them were talking about faith. And K-Sway didn't know that Amber Rose was an atheist. However, they were friends before. So when he found out, he felt like a little taken back, and his judgment wheels started turning, and not in a bad way, because judgment is just analyzing a situation. So he is like, I don't know how to take this. And Amber Rose starts talking about the Bible and how she said how it was written by man. She questioned the origin of the Bible and the year that it was made, and how all of a sudden it just pops up. Then she questioned the source because of who wrote the book. She talks about some other things too as well, but that was the main thing that I got out of it. And what was important to get out of that is that people can question the Bible. We question the Bible. There's some things that have changed throughout, from the Old Testament to the New Testament. Things have changed. What sacrifice looks like, that has changed. It went from sacrificing like your arm and your leg, eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, sacrificing your own child, to sacrificing something that is personal to you that would make sense between you and God. To one, it can look like a contradiction. However, it just comes back to knowing God yourself. I remember I had an argument with somebody. It wasn't an argument, it was a conversation. And what made me end the conversation was, I asked him, have you ever felt the Spirit of God? Like, have you ever felt something miraculous that you can't understand or feel, and you know that the power came from somewhere else besides you? And he said, no. I said, okay, end the conversation. Because if you haven't felt it, the Spirit is felt. It is not explained. And I spoke about this in the last episode, so if you missed it, please go back. And it just talks about being still in God's presence, knowing God for yourself personally. And once you know God for yourself personally, it's like the things that he does is like amazing, miraculous things. So how to know you're hearing from God? Number one, it comes in an overflow, like an outpour of ideas. It's like you can't stop. You don't know where this is coming from, but you're sitting in this and you are just creating, getting ideas. That literally is the result of you giving faith into what God has planted in your heart. And it's so beautiful. I experienced this once when I lost my job in 2018. I talk about this a lot because, child, that was hard for me because I never lost my job before, and I was an adult living in a whole nother state from my family. So it was literally a huge thing. So I went to God like, oh, so what are we doing here? And I just really did a lot of introspection to find out what's my purpose? What should I be doing in this season? In addition to applying to other jobs, that's when he gave me Empower and Educate. Literally, I remember this day so vividly because I was sitting on it and just sitting and waiting for a few weeks. And then all of a sudden, I started to get all these big ideas about Empower and Educate and how it was going to thrive in the community, and literally just sat still. That's one thing when I don't hear clearly and I'm like, oh, is it me? Is it God? Is it the devil? I'm just not going to move. How about that? Yeah. Because I need to know. And you have to have discernment to know when or not to move, because at the end of the day, Romans 8:28 says all things work together. So it really doesn't matter what I do. Into one in one vein, it doesn't matter what you do because God will always protect and bring you back to your destiny. But in another way, you don't want to mess that up, right? You don't want to be taking all these detours when you could have gotten there last year. But no, you were listening to XYZ, doing ABC with 1, 2, 3, and it just didn't work out. And then now you're coming back to your destiny and you have to get broken down again. And nobody wants to go through all of that. So you know what? To make sure that I'm making the right move, I just be still. Be still. I'm just going to sit here. You just let me know when to move, child. I'm going to stay ready so I ain't got to get ready. But, child, you let me know when to move. That's really my relationship. And it's beautiful because once you wait, the overflow that God will give you of what you need is just abundantly heartwarming. So, how to know you're hearing from God? Number 1, it's going to come in an overflow. Number 2, it'll come with conviction. You're going to feel that thing right in your gut. And you're going to say, your instinct, your intuition, your soul, all of that, you're not going to be able to be moved. If my conviction is there and I feel it in my gut, I'm making a move. And that's the discernment, what I was talking about in the last segment about coming in overflows. You have to have that discernment to know when to follow that instinct. Your instinct, your gut, and your soul can easily be tainted by emotions and context and situations and things that we deal with on a daily. And to really get through those things, we don't know the whole picture and we don't know the whole thing, but God will give you conviction and that deep feeling to complement you sitting in his presence. When you're sitting in his presence, it's gonna come with a compliment, and that's your conviction, because you're gonna know when to make those moves. Okay, you're not gonna just be sitting there waiting forever. It may feel like forever. It will feel like forever, but you won't be waiting forever. So number 2, that conviction will come in. And number 3, for me, what's most important is the affirmation. So, sometimes how we be like, ooh, God sent me a sign. And then he'll send a sign and we'll be like, but was that God or was that the devil just trying to shake me up? But once it just keeps happening, that affirmation, that's your answer. That's my answer. Affirmation is so important for me. Ooh, an affirmation when it comes from another vessel. Ooh, like things that you are praying to God about and waiting for an answer can sometimes come through other people. And that answer will only make sense to you. And that's why it's so important to just sit and wait on God so that when that answer comes up, you're like, oh, snap. That's my affirmation. That is my confirmation. This is what God said, and this is what we're doing. So it's really important to know how God is speaking to you. It's so important. Number 1, you'll get an overflow of ideas and passions. Number 2, you'll feel conviction in your spirit. And number 3, you'll get affirmation. And those things help me in my day-to-day faith walk. So today's faith check is, how do you know when God is speaking to you? Please go back and reference the Listen to God to Hear from God episode. In that episode, we really go into surrender, actively searching God, and different ways that God speaks to us. I shared sermons from Priscilla Shirer and more. And I really want you to reference that so that you can make sure you're hearing from God, and so that your faith is not being tainted by the different contradictions that you may find in your everyday life or in the Bible. Okay? Have that solid foundation. All right, guys. I already told you how I'm sitting in his presence and I'm waiting for a breakthrough right now. So this is literally my walking holy grail. Okay, this is what I'm walking today. And I really, really hope that this helps you in your personal faith walk. All right. I'll see you next week. Bye. Make sure you're subscribed to the show so you don't miss when we post the next episode.